You know, for the last couple of years, the AI world has had one king of the hill, OpenAI's GPT. But a brand new challenger, DeepSeek, has just stepped into the ring, and believe me, it is causing a massive shakeup. So today we're going to break down this AI showdown and find out, is the era of paying for a premium AI subscription really coming to an end?
Okay, let's just jump right in with this quote. This sentiment right here is spreading like wildfire through the entire developer community. An expense that used to feel absolutely essential is now being seriously questioned. And you have to ask why. Well, it's because these new models aren't just competing with the champ anymore. In a lot of cases, they're actually starting to beat.
All right, first up, round one, everyday logic. We're going to start with the absolute basics. Just simple, real-world questions. This isn't about some complex, high-level theory. It's about fundamental reasoning, and most importantly, paying attention to the details.
Now, this looks like a super simple question, right? But it's actually a fantastic test. See, it's not just about whether the AI gets the right answer. It's about how well it explains the logic. This is exactly how you can tell the difference between a simple calculator and a true reasoning engine. And wow, here's the difference in a nutshell. DeepSeek V3 just nails it. It breaks it down perfectly, showing its work by turning 9.9 into 9.90 so the comparison is crystal clear. GPT-4o, on the other hand, all over the place, inconsistent. And that kind of unreliability is a huge problem if you're trying to learn something or you actually need to depend on the answer being correct.
This little test just perfectly illustrates the difference in depth. I mean, sure, both models get the basic math right, but DeepSeek R1 does something more. It thinks ahead. It actually considers the possibility of a leap year without me even asking. That's not just a calculation, that's genuine analytical rigor. GPT feels like a machine, while DeepSeek, well, it feels thoughtful.
Okay, time to raise the stakes. We're moving on from simple logic to something way more complex and practical. A task that is absolutely make or break for developers, writing code from scratch.
So here's the challenge. Build the classic snake game from the ground up. This is a great test because it looks at everything, from generating the basic code and logic, all the way to the final user experience and the quality of the finished product. Let's see how they did.
The results here are, well, they're pretty telling. Look, both AIs made a game that worked, but the difference in quality is huge. GPT-4o gave me code that was, good enough, but it had problems. The colors were hard to see, and it was missing simple logic to stop you from accidentally turning back on yourself. The DeepSeek series, it went the extra mile. It built a game that was more robust, more user-friendly, and honestly, just way more polished.
This refactoring test really hammered the point home for me. I gave both of them some pretty messy code and just said, clean this up. GPT-4o did a fine job. It did exactly what I asked and nothing more. But DeepSeek V3, not only was it almost twice as fast, but it proactively added helpful documentation and even a unit test. It felt like an eager assistant that wanted to help, while GPT-4o just felt like it was doing the bare minimum.
So performance is obviously a huge deal, but for any developer or business out there, two other things can be even more important. How much does it cost, and how safe is my data? This is where the battle gets really interesting. Just look at this chart. The numbers really do speak for themselves. We're talking about the cost to process 1 million tokens, which you can think of as little pieces of words. For the exact same amount of work, OpenAI is going to cost you $2.50. DeepSeek, 27 cents. That is not a small discount, my friends. That is a complete and total disruption of the entire pricing model.
Let's just boil that down to one single number. We're talking about a 90% price difference. Think about that. If you're building a service on top of an AI, choosing OpenAI means you are paying 10 times more for a model that, as we've already seen, isn't always the best one. That is an absolute game changer.
And this brings us to a really critical idea, the local model. It's exactly what it sounds like, an AI that you run right on your own computer. The key takeaway here is one word, control. It means your prompts, your secret company data, your proprietary code. None of it ever leaves your machine. It's never sent to some third-party server, period.
And that right there leads us to a fundamental truth about using AI professionally these days. Trust and data security, they are completely non-negotiable. Sending your sensitive code to an outside company is a massive security risk. So the ability to run a powerful model locally makes DeepSeek not just an alternative. For a lot of professionals, it's the only responsible choice.
So, after looking at logic, coding, price, and privacy, what's the final verdict?
Let's pull all this together into a clear, simple guide to help you figure out which AI is the right one for you.
This table really breaks it all down. If you just need a quick answer to a simple question, yeah, the GPT series is still blazing fast and super effective. But if you're trying to learn something, DeepSeek V3's clear, logical explanations are way better. For any kind of serious pro-level coding, the DeepSeek series just gives you a higher quality result. And, well, if you're building a business and budget matters, that 90% cost saving makes DeepSeek the only real choice.
So the whole AI landscape has completely changed. That performance gap that used to exist between the expensive closed-off leader and these new, powerful challengers, it's basically gone. You do not need a pricey subscription anymore to get a world-class AI assistant. So the only real question left is, who are you going to bet on?